The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Borut Pahor, President of the Republic of Slovenia. I request protocol to escort His Excellency. On behalf of the General Assembly, I have the honor to welcome to the United Nations His Excellency Borut Pahor, President of the Republic of Slovenia, and I invite him to address the Assembly.
Mr. President, Mr. Secretary General, ladies and gentlemen, almost all the challenges we face are global. The solutions for them can be found only in working together. We have a historic opportunity to steer change in a direction beneficial for all humanity. I welcome the Secretary General's intention to hold a wide debate about our common future. We have to engage in meaningful discussion and dialogue, even with those, and specifically with those we do not agree with. The culture of dialogue has dangerously deteriorated with the widespread intolerant, offensive, and even hate speech. We must do everything within our power to emphasize respect for and consideration of different opinions and their reconciliation. It is about art of listening and speaking to others. Constructive cooperation is possible only through a dialogue, and cooperation is the only way of reaching peaceful solution to all disputes. That being said, I would like, in my speech, to address three main topics: COVID-19 pandemic, climate change, and peace and security. First, about COVID-19 pandemic. The COVID-19 pandemic is proving to be a demanding and also, unfortunately, divisive challenge for our societies. I express my deepest sympathies to all those who have suffered, and I pay respect to new heroes, among them medical and care workers, scientists, teachers, and the young generation who struggled with limited access to education. Science has once again proved its decisive role. The pandemic has set us to the greatest test in global solidarity in generations. I am proud to say that my country, Slovenia, pledged €500,000 to COVAX and our share of donated vaccines, measured per capita, is among the highest. Second, about the climate change. Friends and colleagues, ladies and gentlemen, the recent report of International Panel on Climate Change is alarming. It has become clear that environment is in a worse condition than expected. Let me assure you that in its capacity as the presidency of the European Union Council, in the run-up and during COP26, Slovenia is committed to the objective of climate natural European Union by 2050. We will do its utmost to contribute to the success of the COP26 conference in Glasgow. It is imperative we move on climate change mitigation, adaptation, and financing in order to meet the objectives objectives of the Paris Agreement. The IPCC report is, in fact, a final urgent call for our immediate climate action. More than ever, we need to listen to scientists and experts. We can learn from them, and our decisions will be better. My permanent advisory committee on climate change, established 2 years ago, is an example of good practices. We regularly discuss a variety of aspects of climate changes and recommend it to the government or the House measures to be adopted. The much-needed green transition should go hand in hand with digital transformation. We must commit to achieving climate neutrality through reforms and investments in the areas of energy efficiency, renewable energy, sustainable mobility, and circular business models. The effects of climate change greatly impact water, both through droughts and the floods we have witnessed this summer and by affecting its quality. Competition for scarce water resources will intensify. The imminent water crisis is a threat, but also as an opportunity to rethink water innovations, governance, and collaboration on all levels. Slovenia is a country with a long tradition of integrated water resources management and cross-border cooperation on water. We will continue to raise awareness and understanding to the interlinkages between water and climate change and the importance of water for international peace and security. Mr. President, climate changes profoundly affect food security. For the very first time in modern history, a famine in one country, Madagascar, is attributed solely to global warming. Since 2014, Slovenia has doubled its contribution for food security, in particular through the World Food Programme for South Sudan and for Yemen, but also in other bilateral projects. Slovenia is recently helping to ensure food and water security for children and other vulnerable groups in Madagascar through Akamasoa, founded by Father Pedro Opeka, an outstanding example of fighting poverty, who over the last 30 years has changed the lives of thousands and thousands of poor people who once lived on rubbish dumps. The Akamasoa community in Madagascar gives humanity high hopes that poverty can be eradicated. However, our efforts to fight famine need to go beyond humanitarian aid. We have to accelerate the transition to sustainable and resilient food system. That is why Slovenia welcomes the holding of the very first UN Summit on Food Systems. I see it as an opportunity to raise awareness of the importance of responsible investments in environmentally friendly agriculture and the prevention of food losses and waste. I believe the responsible use of new and emerging technologies can help us deal with modern technologies and challenges. New technologies offer numerous opportunities to mitigate climate change, support sustainable agriculture, introduce smarter mobility, offer better education, and improve the effective use of resources, to name just a few. That is why I was delighted to, together with the UNESCO Director General, Madame Ozolai, officially launch the International Research Center of Artificial Intelligence back in March in Ljubljana, the capital of Slovenia. The pandemic has only increased our dependence on the digital space, while at the same time revealed its vulnerabilities to the spread of already mentioned hate speech. It is important to keep in mind that fundamental freedoms apply both online and offline. And finally, about peace and security. The dependence on digital space has revealed it also our vulnerability to security threats and to cyber attacks. It has highlighted the extent of the damage caused by such attacks with regard to critical infrastructure, the economy, society, or even loss of lives. The nature of conflicts has expanded. To enable peace and security in all domains, we should collectively and more efficiently respond to different crises which exceeded the capacities of individual states to react. We should also more energetically promote reconciliation processes once peace and security are established. The interconnected and interdependent nature of peace and security, sustainable development, and human rights is more evident than ever. COVID-19 pandemic has worsened the situation of most vulnerable members of our societies, children, elderly, human rights defenders. In many societies, we face shrinking space for freedom of expression. The full realization of human rights for all have proven to be key to our resilience and must be an integral part of our recovery. The situation in Afghanistan has exposed the fragility of our human rights system. Let us never forget that women and children's rights, as well as rights of different minorities, are universal human rights. Slovenia thus welcomed the Secretary General's call for action on human rights and supports allocation a higher regular budget for the work of the UN Office of High Commissioner for Human Rights. And finally, Mr. President, following the atrocities of the Second World War, we have built an international system for the promotion of a dialogue and a peaceful settlement of all disputes. The system is codified by international law, and we must actively ensure respect for the principles of international law and the strengthening of international justice. This is about effective multilateralism, which Slovenia is passionately advocating for. This is the United Nations' finest achievement. Once again, let us work together. Thank you for your attention.
On behalf of the General Assembly, I wish to thank the President of the Republic of Slovenia for the statement just made, and I request the protocol to escort His Excellency.